you got to be, you do have to put on a creative cap for that, for for social media, for these type of things, and show me what makes you different. Don't show me the same. I sell this, I sold that. I always laugh in my industry when I follow the hashtag title insurance, and 90% of the pictures are at closings with someone holding a gigantic key. Yes,
Sure.
it's nice that they closed the deal. I'm happy. I always like to see people reach the finish line and have a new home. But is that really something someone's going to take away as memorable? That the Goldstein family closed on their house in Roslyn. I'm happy for the Goldstein family, but it's not going to make me remember that this title insurance company did that.
No, especially and in New York, it's so different because nobody talks about title. That's the lawyer does it or the lender does it in a refi. So title is the hidden industry.
Yeah, it's funny. I talk very little about title. My significant other always says to me, "You never tell anybody what you do. You need to tell people what you do, or they forget." And because not because I don't find it interesting. It's my career. There are interesting elements to it. Listen, a given in every real estate transaction, there is a title insurance policy usually sold. And again, for the same price and the same product, to me, it's more about the stories, and the people who were involved in the transaction than about the actual product and what we do. I mean, I can give our CE class on the nuts and bolts of title insurance, and even if I'm entertaining, probably half the people are going to fall asleep because it's insurance. Insurance by its nature is not necessarily sexy or exciting.
Well, people don't know. I mean, I've been asked 100 times, why is it expensive? Why do I need it? Mm-hmm. Why should I pay for the banks? That's actually not a bad question. Why should I pay for the banks? Well, because they're giving you the money. They're saying you must. Mm-hmm. So there's all these parts of them that come up. They're not compelling or riveting, but the fact is it's going to come up at every closing. It's the only insurance that I know. It's a one-time cost. Am I correct?
I believe so, actually. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it's also very unique in that it's, kind of backwards insurance, I call it, in that, we were kind of insuring, the due diligence around the purchase of the property. Most insurance is forward or occurrence based. If a tree falls on your home, or somebody drives through your front yard and hurts somebody, or somebody falls on slips and falls on ice, those those insurance policies like homeowners or auto insurance are basically covering you in the event that something happens. For us, we're actually insuring you based upon what already happened in the past, and making sure that we're ensuring that the records are, accurate. And if they're not accurate, we ensure that little piece of inaccuracy or that infrequent, errors, if something's misfiled, or if there's liens or judgments that don't get uncovered at the closing, then that's a key part of title insurance is, not to get too deep into it, is really ensuring the homeowner that they're buying what they think they're buying, and that there's no liens, encumbrances, i.e. you're not going to get sued. And if you do get sued, then we're going to, number one, pay for the cost of the attorneys, because that's really, if we're not covering the cost of attorneys, you could be out a couple $100,000, and God forbid, you lose the property because there was a mistake with the records, you could be out significant sums of money. So we insure, what is probably your, people's largest asset that they own, their home. Mm-hmm. So that's important. And, it's only, people only think about it when there's a problem. Fortunately, I think it's the least claimed upon insurance product in the market. Maybe about 4% of policies get claims on them. And how many pay out on those claims is less than that. Boiler insurance might be one of the other least claimed upon policies. So, the good thing is we're doing our job. The records are fairly accurate, and most of the times they're not claims, but there are claims they do get paid out on. And fortunately, in my 15-year career title, I only saw 2 claims, actually. One was quickly resolved. It was about a parking spot and whether it was a specific spot assigned. Actually, it was a deeded spot, not a license, and just to get into technicalities. And, that was quickly resolved because they decided not to have an attorney. And
was that in that must have been in Manhattan or New York City?
That was in Harlem, actually. The other one actually was a result of or came into play with a major criminal act, actually, and the person involved was recently sentenced to 8 years in jail and stole probably close to $100 million, or misappropriated $100 million in banks money. And unfortunately for him, it didn't end up well. But it led to us getting claimed, which hopefully, I don't think that we're at fault in it, but generally I probably don't like to talk about these things, but they happen. So
no, that's
we have to talk about them.
I was reading in one of the papers that the most expensive real estate in Manhattan is those caged storage facilities. That's a deeded spot.
Yeah, a lot of the new condos, actually. One of the things that is prime space. So this is maybe very much a Manhattan or Brooklyn, New York City thing. Is people buy storage space, and those things, they go like hotcakes. I mean, they get sold quickly because to have storage space in your building, a lot of Manhattan apartments are small, so be able to go downstairs and get the kid's bike is.
So can you imagine if I'm right? Can you imagine? I know that not everyone knows, but imagine the Schedule A. How would you describe that tiny? It's like the size of a bedroom. Not even.
You'd have to do a survey of that space. But yeah, it's we're talking about 50, maybe not even 25, 50 square feet of little small room, but people are paying $100,000 for that, or more.
That's crazy.
So people
back to networking, because no one needs the real intricacies of something you're mentioning, and whoever's involved has the professionals involved. But I know that I was at an event last night, and it's a bunch of title people meeting, and it's so social. And since the title companies do such a good job of ensuring the conveyance and people are safe, it really becomes a situation of, tell me if I'm right, who you want to work with, who do you like to talk to?
Yeah. In the old days, actually, we used to say the best title insurance people had the best Yankee tickets. It was very much, especially in New York, driven by, who took who to what games, what golf course you can get them out on. This plays a little bit into the old school business, that you and I kind of came up in. And a lot of that changed a couple of years ago when the Department of Financial Services in New York basically outlawed all of the entertaining. You really can't even buy someone a cup of coffee now. You can put on educational events, and that's something that I'm very big into as well. We have a program, Worldwide Education. We provide free CE and CLE classes for lawyers, CLE for lawyers, CE for real estate agents. We do probably, anywhere 2 or 3 a week. And with those, we get to put our lawyer clients in front of real estate agents, who are sources of business referrals for them. I feel education, anyone is always welcome to take those classes if you're interested in the subject matter, whether you're getting credit or not. Being, providing educational opportunities, it makes people better at their job. It makes them, just be abreast of any changes in the law or any changes in every month we do fair housing, which is, always changing area. It's a requirement for your license renewal. So that's been a really good source for us, really, since, the old school, paying for entertaining, really was a lot of ways paying for business, has kind of disappeared in New York. So that's really, the last 2 years, we built the program a lot on Zoom. That way we found a lot of agents. It's very easy to go downstairs, flip your computer up, log in, and, get your credits and listen to our class. You don't even have to travel to our office, our conference room. I don't have to serve breakfast. I always say now you bring your own bagel and coffee, and, we provide the educational opportunity and, the credits and the certificates. So
That's great. We should let people know more. I mean, I thought you did that, but I know that education is paramount. Plus, is required.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, the lawyers and the agents have to go somewhere, so it's not like it's not. They
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. Traditionally, a lot of the real estate boards, board of realtors would provide those classes. They still do. Again, we don't charge for them, which I
Yeah, the board charges. I don't know if you know, but my board charges a lot for that, a few $100s. So I mean,
yeah.
and they are now really annoyed because they're offered almost everywhere at no cost. So they've been pulled out.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. We've built up a good stream of regular attendees. I'm always happy when we see new names. We send that out. We have an Instagram page, dedicated to that, wwedu_. So follow there for upcoming classes. And on our website, we have a tab, wwedu Worldwide Education, where we have all our upcoming classes. And I encourage anybody that's listening to this, to check that out. Use that as a good way to to see what we can offer you. Again, value add. It's what this business and a lot of these business are, is what can I do for you other than provide great service, get your
Right.
clothes.
And I will tell you, I'm constantly confounded where people steadfastly say I give good service. I mean, I couldn't even deal with a guy the other day, and he wouldn't acknowledge that when you're out of the deal. I mean, the perfect example would be when you're out of a deal, you have nothing to offer. A great relationship between a lender, let's say, or you, and a crackerjack real estate agent will be suspended when that agent either has 5 listings in a row, so there's no occasion.
Right.
And then in this day and age, people have their own financing online or referral. So that lender will really be thwarted for a good part of the year. They may have no contact, where you're going to be involved in the deal, no matter what. So you have a constant supply. But that's another benefit of PlugIntro is once you choose someone that you want to meet or thank, you're in a constant online, exclusive, invitation only, private platform where you're going to have that kind of connection. So you don't have to email them and bother them. And these agents are sick of being bothered, and they were successful without you or me or the lender. They did a good job.
Yeah, it's interesting because title is primarily in New York, at least a B2B. Well, in most places it's a B2B business. We really don't, you're never going to see it, or I shouldn't say never, but you don't see any title insurance commercials. We're not like Geico. Maybe if we had a caveman or a lizard, maybe we would be selling more title insurance. I don't know, but generally we market to the business professionals that are working with buyers and sellers, be that real estate agents outside of New York. In New York, it's more real estate attorney driven. When there's a refi market, which right now there's not much of, we market and sell primarily to, or to lenders. Right now, it's amazing how many lenders are reaching out to me. The last 2 years, I couldn't get anybody on the phone. Now all of them are looking for opportunities because, really the business comes through purchases and buyers, and really the real estate agents are the ones, who are referring to them. So a lot of them need to meet more real estate agents. I've got lots of good lenders all over the country. I was down on the Jersey Shore 2 days ago. So I travel a lot too, actually, to different markets. And that's something, as a company, we're directly licensed in 21 or 22 states. And a lot of people during COVID moved from, the New York, New Jersey, Northeast area down south to Florida, to North Carolina, Georgia, states that we're licensed in. And, so I'm always, open. I always like meeting people outside of New York and growing, my sphere, my network. I love when I get on a realtor, or even California where we're not licensed, but we will handle, the deals where we're not licensed. But, love to have a resource. Somebody says I need a good agent in, in Calabasas, California, to be able to have that. A lot of people over the years know, I've got a pretty, deep book of contacts, and, I'd like to think I vetted them and, kept them on that list, and, can pretty quickly come up with somebody, to solve, your need. And everybody has needs, be it I got into a car, I got into a car accident, I need a criminal attorney. I love anytime people reach out to me, especially if it's on a Friday night or Saturday night. That's usually when all the weird requests come in. But and my girlfriend will say to me like, why do you have to answer that? I'm like, because they need it. So I think that's really something, the value that I like to provide is, put you in the hands of the right people, because if you go to the wrong lawyer, you go to the wrong, mortgage lender, it's going to create lots of headaches. And, I can't guarantee that all of them are going to be 100% perfect, but, I know from, the questions, hopefully I asked them, and my experience of talking to a lot of people, who good people are and good providers are. And I think that's important.
It is important to serve the client. And if you really think about it, and it's a 5-on-5 basketball game where, unlike basketball, no one's trying to win here. You're trying to all get to the closing. And until there's a controversy, which usually there isn't, you have your lawyer, New York deal, lawyer, lender, title, insurance company, and a home inspector. So those people that work together almost all the time, they choose their team. Even some of the choices are interchangeable, where based on scheduling, but it's a professional team. The worst part of it might be the client who goes outside the lines and picks some family lawyer, some one who no idea what a closing is, a personal injury lawyer. You've seen that, or doesn't know title.
Is when somebody wants to use an attorney who's, especially New York real estate, which is very nuanced and specialized. New York City is a huge place, or even the suburbs. But if you're not regularly doing real estate transactions and you're a family law attorney and you say, yeah, I could do it, it's my niece or my nephew, you're not doing them a favor, even though you're saving them $1,200, $1,500 outside of New York, $3,000 inside of New York. Mostly flat fee type of stuff there, but stay in your lane. I think it's a very good, do what you do well. Yeah.
I had a buddy who was a really top PI lawyer. This is many years ago. So, if you're in a personal injury action, you're doing nothing with the file for long periods of time, right? There's the tests, the judge, the doctors. He said he got the file and he put it on the shelf, and months went by and people were calling him, and he did not know this is something you got to stay on top of all the time. So people were losing their minds. And it was, instead of picking up a cell phone, they were calling a receptionist of a law firm. It just was not, people were going to kill him. And that's really important, because here's something that happens still every day. Buyers do not know about the two biggest costs of the whole deal. They don't know about the mortgage tax, which in the city can be monstrous. They don't know mansion, which, we're speaking esoteric here. Well, for the listeners who don't know, New York State has its own taxes based on mortgage, and the state has a tax for $1 million plus. Plus, I've done stuff in Long Island with the Peconic tax. People don't know that there's closing taxes here that don't exist elsewhere. So if someone walks in and pretend there isn't any cost, if you're in Michigan where you lived, there's still a title bill, and the title bill is probably the premium is bigger than all of their other costs. So regardless of where you are, a buyer is unaware of their biggest cost. And that's a pretty crazy situation.
Yeah. I think that, I know the government tried to address that, when they changed, the disclosure form
CD,
a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Right. But no one looks at that. They can't look at that and absorb that.
No, it is hard for for the layperson who's not experienced in this to kind of go through it and understand what their costs would be. Certainly, a good attorney hopefully can give you a sense of that up front, not when you're at the closing table, maybe on the first call, that when you're retaining them, is to get a hold of the what it's going to be, because there's nothing worse to ruin the experience of buying a home when you or a couple of days before, when you say, oh yeah, and you're going to have to come up with a check for this much, and you're scrambling and you got to call your parents and ask them to cut you a check if you're first time home buyer, or
we've seen that,
and then that might affect your mortgage too, if you're borrowing money from family members. So there's a lot of moving parts in a closing. There's a lot of cost, that people don't think of. They think, oh, the house is this much and I'm going to get a mortgage for that much. And, but taxes are a big thing. I know a couple of years ago, actually, we had a rate reduction in New York on title insurance, which we've had 4 of them, I think, in the last 20 years. Other states, Pennsylvania, I think they've had 4 increases in the title insurance prices in the past 20 years. New York, they keep on lowering it. I love the last time they lowered it. They said, was because you guys are making too much money and we care about the consumer. So what did they do a few weeks later? They upped the taxes. The mansion tax became graduated based upon how high, because they're so concerned about the consumer, but God forbid it goes into the private or the title guy's pocket. As long as it goes into the government pocket, then that's not, the worried about the consumer goes out the door. And it's not my attack on the government, but it's funny how people talk out of both sides of their mouth.
Right. And the government's watching this video. So one day, you
yeah, exactly. So I'll probably be getting my subpoena of what we're doing.
Right. A deuce is taken.
Of course,
bring
I can
your docs.
that if I make a donation to somebody's campaign. So then, make sure it's never
especially in Long Island where you live. Right. If you live on the island too. But these are, as we all know, these are collaborative, and the consumer should know that. And I even think some of the real estate professionals should realize, I think that, there's too much, one of the reasons that PlugIntro exists is, agents are fickle. And even when they're listening to this, they may not appreciate the depth of the connection. We rely on each other as far as business is concerned. And one size does not fit all. So it's really a reason where I think we have to provide as many benefits to our colleagues as is humanly possible. I had a big shot guy I know, a long time lender, and he just said what you said on Long Island. He goes, our focus, because I don't want to sell term, I don't want to sell rate, I don't want to sell service, because that's all nonsense. He goes, I'm the guy that can really help an agent grow their business. And I mean, that's got to be glue, right? I mean, helping someone prosper, cultivating reciprocity.
Definitely. I think, that's at the end of the day, what you want to be able to do is put money or opportunities to make more money into your client's pocket. I often tell realtors too, especially in New York, where they're not necessarily the ones picking title. Is one of the things that, why it's good to have a title relationship is, sometimes you're not the attorney, you're not the buyers, they don't pick your attorney that you suggested. They have their own attorney, and you're trying to get that attorney on the phone to get the status or the update on that. Sometimes the attorneys, are not great. Some attorneys are not great at calling back agents, or they feel like they don't owe a duty or loyalty to the agent, because technically they're loyal. Their duty is to the client, but certainly, the ones who got recommended by the agent are going to call back, but the ones who don't sometimes don't. I always say, reach out to me, reach out to our team. Hopefully we could, answer that question for you, or at least tell you if it's a good question, or steer you in the right direction. We're kind of like a second opinion.
It's another point of contact. It's another set of eyes.
Yeah. Use me for whatever information from experience, from what I know, to fill in the gaps for what you don't know. I mean, I know, from being around a decent amount of stuff about a little bit about a lot of things, but I'm no expert certainly on, the mortgage, on the nuances of the mortgage business, even though my business interacts, on a daily basis with that. I don't know, tell me this issue stuck in underwriting. Okay. I understand the basic concepts, but give me, more details. What's holding it up? So again, when you do something and you're an expert in it, you're going to, be of more, value to somebody for answering those questions. So hopefully I can, bridge that knowledge gap, or at least put you in touch with somebody who's going to, help you, cross that bridge. Because every deal has a problem, especially nowadays. There's, no, when a deal goes from A to Z, and it's all smooth, it's very rare. And, you probably say, how did I get so lucky? But, when the 2 or 3 problems crop up, the best people in the business, that's when they prove their mettle, by, saying, okay, number one, these are what your problems are, and this is what we're going to do, A, B, C, and D to fix it. You know, and that's kind of a rule of thumb for us. You know, our company is, listen, when there's an issue, call the client, let them know ASAP. Don't sit on it, and let them know. And even if it's our fault, and listen, sometimes we're not perfect. You know, we make a mistake. We didn't order this. You know, apologize if you're wrong, and you know, say, hey, listen, this is how we're going to fix it. You know, A, B, C, and D. And yeah, people can be upset with you, but you know what? It's worse to let a problem, you know, linger and fester and not address it. You know, and that's been a good policy and something that, you know, we take seriously. And I think it's helped us, you know, and we get yelled at, you know, and a lot of people like to throw the title company under the bus and say, you know, be it the attorney or the lender, you know, the attorney, you know, title company's holding up the closing. Sometimes, you know, if it's our client, we'll say, hey, throw us under the bus. Let us be the fall guy.
Well, I think I think you're the ideal candidate to get thrown under the bus because everyone knows the lawyer's name, everyone knows the lender's name, everyone knows the realtor's name. No one knows your name.
Right. For somebody who goes on social media a lot and wants people to know their name, you're right. I don't want anyone to know my name.
You're not going to be in any deal from the Smiths to the Joneses. No one knows Mark. You're just this. It's a really interesting thing. But listen, these are, as we said, such collaborative deals, and it takes time. I always said this: there's only two kinds of business. One is a really compelling offer, like Geico, which, you know, they trick people or think that's the best deal, or a trusted resource like this, where, you know, if you give the deal to Mark, it's going to close, it's going to get attention. You can call someone at Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and at least leave a voicemail, and you get back.
I'll always give.
You're not going to get that. Sure, it's crazy not to.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's even.
Now I'm not in the office that much, you know.
No, I think those days are. I mean, people have business cards without an office number or a fax number. You look at it's cell and email, and even email. Who's using that as much? Only matters of substance.
You're right. Actually, you know, it's a lot of text and a lot of Facebook Messenger, Instagram.
Sure,
you know,
that's all we use.
You got to check so many places now. Your head spins, you know, and I get a message here, there, you know.
No, that's why we use. I love to use Messenger and text. And you know, my friend years ago, my friend was a pioneer with this. He would call and not leave a message. I said, I saw you call, no message. And this is before people did this. So he says, why didn't you leave a message? You saw I called. So this is, 10 years ago when people did not do that. Now you just call, you know, people. 3 rings, you know they're not going to answer, so just let it go and text him your message.
I think I got one voice message this week. It was from my mom, who's the only person who leaves me voice messages anymore. She's like, "I read the post this morning. The cryptocurrency's down. Are you still okay?" Fortunately, not that invested in it, but. You know, these are the type of messages I get, you know, is from my mom. Everybody else, you know, either I saw that they called or they text me or, you know, find a way to communicate. Hey, call me back, you know.
It's funny. Or I'm calling you. Things have just so evolved. You know, we're getting far afield and all, but I'm surprised that texting has not really progressed into another thing like an Uber, like a major text on steroids. There should be some text that almost approaches email and think of the opening rate of email versus the opening rate of text. It's like 100% on text.
Yeah. I know some companies internally use things like Slack and, you know,
WhatsApp.
Again, it just creates another thing to look at. It cuts down on the email maybe, but. You know, but it's
but people internally use WhatsApp or Slack, like you say. There's another one, but then you got to have your apps right next to each other because you're not going to go page 2 of your apps.
Signal is another one that I get people write me on. But
Signal's the new
every
one.
time you look at your phone, you know, you see, you got a message on this, that, and that. You know, again, like that's why people are walking around with, you know, the phone in their face because they're getting.
Listen, I'm afraid to look at my phone. We just spent 50 minutes on this. I'm afraid to look at the phone because this is the last shot that people have at you Friday afternoon.
Yeah, the people that are operating in that 9 to 5 range, right? The people that know you, there's no more gap. I can get a message at
the people that know you, it's. Now. The people who know me, it's some of, you know, like that's why I put on vibrate. It's like 1:45. Some clown might send it a text. So that's a thing. So Mark, look,
My
this is
colleague
great. I want to
actually is
say,
up at 4 in the morning, so he starts sending texts at 4 in the morning, and everyone's on different
who's that?
schedules. But
Who does that at 4 in the morning?
my colleague Jeff Lender, he wakes up at 4 in the morning, and he starts messaging people then, and that's his day is 4 to like 9 or 10. He goes to bed. I'm a late night owl, so I'll get started a little later, but I'm up 11, 12 o'clock every night.
I know, I've done a little bit of that because I'm up early, but there should be a delay in text, like scheduling that, text whenever you want, but they all get delivered at 8 a.m. I don't know why
I think
that's not.
there's probably a setting for that, but I think that's beyond our, us old guys' tech proficiency.
Yeah, I don't do that. And I just started talking into it. I mean, not that long ago. I never did before. So listen, I mean, I'm really happy we got you here. This, as you see, is our little show. It's not a show about nothing. It's a show about a lot, but we're here to really show our personality. We could have some guests. We should pick the agents and the lenders you want on board, pick their brains, let them have a chance to shine. And I think the real point is to shine light on others, give them a chance. And that really, I've been surprised since I started doing this and how much people appreciate it. I thought it was, they really, are on top of it. They really appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, on Instagram, what do we see? One great picture that's airbrushed of, every now and then. So we don't hear that much, content really. I hate to use that word again. You don't hear that much material or information conveyed on it. Same thing, really, Facebook. So, this is a good, platform for hearing more about it. I hope, now, after people listening to me, if they listen this far along,
even if it's an audience, the best part about it is you're demonstrating your authority, you're demonstrating your resource, and best thing is you're giving into someone else. This is a giving place. We're here to make sure that others have an opportunity, and that's really where the distinction comes from. When you have a Facebook post, I have a set of criteria. It's 2 inches. Your enemies and your competition see it. That's number 2. You are not sharing it with anyone. I've started getting a little bit aggressive and asking people, who do you want to see that? And they don't have an answer because there's no one intended. And the post dies at midnight. This lasts forever. So imagine having a really compelling piece of information about the new mortgage loan underwriting. And I learn about some programs all the time. Things are moving, as you know. And then you give it. Then your business is dependent on you delivering it on a free social networking website. That's lame.
Yeah, you're right. There's the one thing that you did say is your competitors and your enemies. We're too nice, Scott and I. We don't have any enemies.
We don't, but there's a lot of listen, a realtor has 500 Facebook friend realtors, and they don't want to see your huge awards or your EXP stock or your great boyfriend or a great dinner while they're sitting home having their own porridge. They don't want that.
You're right. It's you're 100% correct. This
you got to share. I think you want to share it with your tribe, and you want to share with people who can benefit.
Yep. Yeah, I'd love to say, like I just did this and I talked and I didn't know I could talk this. I knew I could talk this long, but I'd love to see more realtors and lenders, hear them for 45 minutes talk. I get a real sense of who they are and what they could do and whether they're going to be a good
Mark, this is our show. We do whatever we want. So invite anyone and we'll spend the time, pick your spots. If Sarah specifically is listening one day, we're going to get her on here. She's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
great
you're
personality
right.
and a lot to offer. And you know what? A lot of the realtors and that I know, they became realtors because they're flamboyant or they're interesting or they have a personality. Of course, some don't, and that works as well. They might not, come off as well here, but of course they're going to sell a ton of houses. But definitely showcase your personality.
Definitely talk about what you're doing, and then if there are people we know who are in fancy destinations like Florida, like California, like where it's not just USA Boringville, this is Midtown Manhattan, or show the bright lights of another city. That's really what we have an opportunity to really feature them and shine the light. And look, we're here to benefit. So Mark, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
There are 1.6 million realtors licensed in the United States. A lot of you have stories and interesting things to tell. So bring them on to PlugIntro.
Yeah, we're not going to get to you and I can't get We cannot get to them. You and I can't get to 1.6 million on my little Chromebook here.
we'll take 16,000, 1,600.
Yeah, we'll see.
So you can
right,
reach
1,600.
me.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let me. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So reach me, M Lawrence, LAWRENCE, at www.landtransfer.com. Although